Welcome back to the OMB Law Board. I'm Simon Bennett, and today I've got Taylah with me. Taylah is one of our lawyers in the insurance and litigation team. Taylah, welcome to the OMB Law Board.
Thank you for having me, Simon.
So Taylah, I've been involved in a car crash. It's traumatic. I'm stressed. I could be injured. I just want to get out of there. I wish it never happened, and I don't want to do anything. What are the problems? What are the risks?
Yeah, look, Simon, unfortunately, it's something that happens way too often, and I want to give you a couple of recommendations in my experience as to what you should do if you're in a car accident.
Okay, that would be great. So if you can stick with us, we're going to drill down on the really important things you should do and you shouldn't do if you've been involved in an accident. So Taylah, let's start. We've had this traumatic occasion, and as I said, quite often people just want to get home and forget about it. But there's some really important things that you need to do, particularly in the first week after that accident. So let's drill down on them. Maybe you could give us the 3 most important things that we should do in that first week to protect our rights. So where do we start? Absolutely.
So first and foremost, it is so imperative that you get the details of the other individual involved in the incident. With that allows us to be able to get in contact with the insurers or the other party if they're not actually represented by an insurer or uninsured. So I think that would be the first imperative thing when you act at the site.
Okay, so should we be getting copy of licence, rego?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And getting details of where the accident sort of happened and the circumstances. Is that all?
Absolutely. So the details of the other individual, their license, their rego, and if police are on site, also that too. That allows us to get that incident report so we can help you, the individual who's been involved in that car accident, to get the compensation that you necessarily need.
And do we need the police to come? Is it always important that they're there? Or are there some occasions?
Absolutely not. That's where we step in as solicitors here at OMB Solicitors, and we can facilitate that process for you. Whether or not there is a police report that was made, just by us having those details, we can reach out to the other individual or their insurer and be able to get that process started for you.
Okay, so don't race off without collecting the data and the information, because it's really important later on. Mm-hmm. All right, what's your second point?
Second one, and I know a lot of people don't do it normally at the first incident, but it is imperative that you go and see your GP. At the time of the incident, you may feel okay, but it is so important that you go and check with your GP as to your general health, because there may be some sort of underlying incident or injury that you don't necessarily know that you have. And just by making that report with your doctor, we're able to then obtain those reports to be able to facilitate the rest of the compensation claim for you.
Okay, so obviously if I have a serious injury, off to hospital we go. Mm-hmm. But even in circumstances where you don't feel like you've sustained a serious injury, we really need to get off to the doctor and get a report.
Absolutely, Simon. It is so important that you be able to do that, because 9 times out of 10, you may not even know whether you have whiplash, any sort of neck, back injury, and that can only be identified by a medical practitioner, and that'll inform us and yourself of the process and the next steps for what's going to happen after that.
And of course, your health is the single most important thing. So look after yourself and, make sure you get a medical examination.
Definitely.
Okay, 2 really great points. What's the third thing we should be doing in that first week to make sure that we are protecting ourselves?
Look, it's always the best thing to go and see a lawyer, because the single biggest mistake that I see in these sort of claims is missed deadlines. So these deadlines are underlying, and not necessarily everybody knows about them unless you are a practitioner working in that area. But it is so important that you go and see a lawyer to be able to not miss that limitation, which is only a 9-month period, to file the notice of accident claim form to be able to move forward with your claim. Otherwise, if you do miss that time frame, unfortunately for many people that I've seen that miss that deadline in that way, they're not able to make a claim or get their vehicle or any sort of rectification for the injuries that they suffer as a result of that incident.
And there's 2 really important parts to that, isn't there? There's the property damage, so to the vehicle, and then there's the health and personal injuries that we may sustain.
Absolutely.
And, that we've got to really get moving on both.
Absolutely. So just by going and seeing a lawyer or seeking some advice as to when you need to file those necessary forms to be able to do a claim could save you a massive headache in the long run.
Yeah, and information is power. It's important that you understand what your rights are and what you can do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if they're the things we can do and that we should be doing, the three most important steps immediately after we were involved in an accident, what's the one thing that causes the most problems? What's the one thing that if you don't do, you're definitely going to have issues?
Well, Simon, it would definitely be delaying the claim. I've seen multiple individuals in these sort of circumstances putting it off and saying, that they're going to recover. It's not the right time for them at the moment. They're too busy. But unfortunately, with that delay, it makes it really difficult to be able to get the rectification that you necessarily need. So just by seeking advice or some general information to be able to know what are your next steps and not putting it off could really save you a lot of time and
protect your rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, look, I think that's really important information that we've shared with our listeners and viewers. And at the start, we kind of talked about the chaotic nature, the adrenaline's pumping. It's a terrible experience.
Absolutely.
But we've got to keep our wits about us. We've got to get three key things done. We've got to collect the information.
Yes.
We've got to look after our health.
Yes, and then you've got to make sure that you don't delay your claim.
Don't delay your claim and get some advice. And our insurance and litigation team here at OMB, Taylah, are able to help you.
Absolutely.
And tell you what your rights are and what you should be doing.
Absolutely. We just want to be able to make sure that every individual that's been involved in that incident has the necessary information that they need, because at the end of the day, it's your right to make a claim. So we want everybody to be fully informed as to what their next steps are and what they can actually do to get there.
So if you or one of your loved ones has been involved in an accident, bear in mind those things that Taylor's mentioned today and give us a call at OMB so we can help you protect your rights. Thanks for sticking with us. We hope you found this as informative as I did. And Taylah, thank you so much for your knowledge today. We really appreciate you being here.
Of course, Simon. Thank you for having me.
So that's a wrap on Season 5 of the OMB Law Board. Thank you so much for joining us. We've had some wonderful guests, some amazing content, and wow, the interaction with you, our listeners, has been incredible. We're overwhelmed with comments and support, and thank you for coming along this journey with us. Keep an eye on our socials and you'll see that Season 6, when that's ready to go, and we look forward to seeing you again in the new season. And we're going to bring on board and answer some of the questions that you've raised during your comments this season. So thanks again for listening to the OMB Law Board.